A hearty welcome to everyone in this beautiful Indian evening, the Guru pUrNimA evening, when the moon must have risen already, shining all over the world. So this is the time for us to actually celebrate this Guru pUrNimA and feel grateful for that Guru Parampara. So this evening we have a very special program by Vidushi Dr. Radha Bhaskar ji, who will be actually taking us through thyAgarAja vaibhavam. So, but before I introduce her and the program further, as always, we start our program with the Veda Ashirvachanam, and as we have been often blessed in the past, this time also we will be blessed by Ganapati Brahmashri Chintapalli Narasimhamurthy Garu from Guntur, who is my guru. Along with his Shishya, he will be actually rendering the Veda Ashirvachanam. I am uniquely fortunate to have Guru Garu here.
Mano mitro varuno ariyamajalindra vrikshamanatah parikhyana yadvajino devajadasya sapte pravakshyamo vidathe viryani yannirnijaleknasa pravratasya radingubhitam mukhato nayanti supragajo mem yadvishwarupa indra bhushno priyamapyeti pathaha Eshachagah puro ashveramajiná pushno bhagoni yate vishwadevyaha avipriyet puro dashamarvata tvastede nagumsoshtravasaga jinvati yadhavishya mudusho devayanandir manusha pariyashvannayanti atra pushna prathamo bhaga eti yajñam devebhya prativedayannajaha Odadharyuravaya agni Grava Udashakastashu Vipraha Dena Yajnana Swaram Krutena Svishtena Vakshana Apurnatvam Yupapraska Udaye Yupavaha Chashalanye Ashvayupaya Dakshati Ye Chalvate Pajanagam Sambharantyuto Desham Abhigur Tirna Inpadu Upapraga Samannedhayi Manmadeva Namasha Upaveta Pushtha Anvenam viprashayo vadanti devanam pushte chakramasu bandham yadvajino dama sandana marvato yashir shanyana sanarajurasya yadvaghasya pravrutamasya trunako sarvata te abhideveshvastu yadashvasya kravisho makshikasha yadvasvaro usvasito raktamasti Yadhastayoshamiduryan nakhesha sarvata te abhideveshvastu Yadu madhyamudarasya bhavadiya vasya kravisho gandho asti Sukrutadachamidara prunvanto tamedhago sutapagam vajantu Yatte gata dagnina patsyamana nihatasya vadhavati Matadbhumya masrishan madruneshu devebhyastadashadhyo latamastu Om Amuraja Jamuraja Amuraja Jamuraja Pratyavartaya Jamuraja Pratyavartaya Aja Pratyavartaya Jaja Pratyavartayema Ima Pratyavartaya Jaja Pratyavartayema Pratyavartayema ima pratyavartayema ketumadima pratyavartayema pratyavartayeti prati avartaya ima ketumadima ima ketumaddundubhiddundubhik ketumadima ima ketumaddundubhihi Ketumaddundubhiddundubhik ketumaddundubhirvavaditi vavaditi dundubhik ketumaddundubhirvavaditi ketumadditi ketumad dundubhirvavaditi vavaditi dundubhiddundubhirvavaditi vavaditi vavaditi समश्ववर्णा अश्ववर्णास्तगो समश्ववर्णाश्चरन्ति चरन्त्यश्ववर्णास्तगो समश्ववर्णाश्चरन्ति अश्ववर्णाश्चरन्ति चरन्त्यश्ववर्णा अश्ववर्णाश्चरन्ति नोरश्चरन्त्यश्ववर्णा अश्ववर्णाश्चरन्ति नः अश्ववर्णा इत्यश्ववर्णाः चरन्ति नोरश्चरन्ति चरन्ति नो नरो नरो नश्चरन्ति चरन्ति नो नरः नो नरो नरो नो नो नरो स्माकमस्माकं नरो नो नो नरो स्माकं नरो स्माकमस्माकं नरो नरो स्माकमिन्द्रेन्द्रास्माकं नरो नरो स्माकमिन्द्रा अस्माकमिन्द्रेन्द्रास्माकमस्माकमिन्द्ररथिनो रथिन इन्द्रास्माकमस्माकमिन्द्ररथिनः इंद्ररथिनो रथिन इंद्रेन्द्ररथिनो जयन्तु जयन्तु रथिन इंद्रेन्द्र रथिनो जयन्तु 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 रथिनो रथिनो जयन्तु जयन्तु इति जयन्तु एकादश दशित आलभ्यन्ते एकादशाक्षरात् त्रिष्टभो त्रैष्टुभाः पशवः पशो नैवावरुन्धे वैश्वदेवो वा अश्वः नानादेवत्या पशवो भवन्ति अश्वस्य सर्वत्वाय नानारूपा भवन्ति तस्मात् नानारूपाः पशवः बहुरूपा भवन्ति तस्मात् बहुरूपाः पशवः समृद्धे अस्मिन् समूहे स्थितानां सर्वेषां सकलक्षेम स्थैर्य विजय अभय आयुरारोग्य ऐश्वर्याभिवृद्धिरस्तु वेद पुरुषानुग्रहसिद्धिरस्तु श्री सीता रामचंद्र ब्रह्मण अनुग्रह प्राप्तिरस्तु संकल्पित कार्ये निर्विघ्नेन परिसमाप्तिरस्तु।
చాలా ధన్యవాదాలు. రెండు మాటలు ఏమైనా చెప్తారా ఆశీర్వచన రూపంలో?
ఇది ఇవాళ దేనికి సమూహం ఇది?
ఈ రోజు త్యాగరాజ స్వామికి నివాళులు అర్పిస్తూ త్యాగరాజ వైభవం అనే శీర్షిక మీద విదుషి డాక్టర్ రాధా భాస్కర్ అనే ఆవిడ చెన్నైలో ఉంటారు. ఆవిడ కర్ణాటక సంగీతంలో ఆవిడ పిహెచ్డి కూడా చేశారు. అందుకు ఆవిడ నిష్ణాతురాలు అన్నమాట. ఆవిడేమో దీని మీద వచిస్తారు. 1 గంట సేపు వచనం రోజు ఉంటుంది. త్యాగరాజ వైభవం అనే శీర్షిక.
త్యాగరాజ వైభవం అనేటువంటి ఈ సమూహం ఈ కార్యక్రమంలో ఉన్నటువంటి అందరికీ కూడా నమస్కారం చేస్తూ, ఇవాళ చాలా గొప్పదైన పర్వదినం. ఇవాళ మామూలుగా గురు పౌర్ణిమ అంటారు, దాన్నే వ్యాస పౌర్ణిమ అని కూడా అంటారు. అసలు ఈ గురు పౌర్ణిమ వ్యాస పౌర్ణిమ అనేటువంటి ఏంటంటే, గురువు అంటే ఎవరు? అందరూ గురువులే ఉంటారు లోకంలో, అందరూ జగద్గురువు అనేటువంటి ప్రతి వాళ్ళు పెట్టుకుంటారు. కానీ అసలు జగద్గురువు ఎవరు అంటే కృష్ణం వందే జగద్గురు. జగద్గురు అంటే ఆయనే. తర్వాత కలియుగంలో శంకరం శంకరాచార్యం కేశవం బాదరాయణం సూత్రభాష్యపతో వందే భగవంతో పునః అని కలియుగంలో జగద్గురువు శంకర భగవద్గురువు. శ్రీమన్నారాయణుడు సృష్టి చేసిన తర్వాత కృతయుగంలో యుగానికి ఒక్క జగద్గురువుగా ప్రకాశింపచేయాలి, ఒకే ఒకడు జగద్గురు ప్రతి యుగానికి ఉంటారు అని ఆది యుగమైనటువంటి కృతయుగంలో శ్రీమన్నారాయణుడే జగద్గురు. ఆయనే ఆ యుగమంతా కూడా, ఇవన్నీ కూడా యుగ ధర్మాలు. ఆ యుగమంతా కూడా ఆయన జగద్గురు. ఆ తర్వాత త్రేతాయుగానికి వచ్చేది దత్తాత్రేయ స్వామి వారు జగద్గురు. ఆ తర్వాత కృష్ణవంతే జగద్గురు. ద్వాపర యుగంలో శ్రీకృష్ణ పరమాత్మ జగద్గురు. కలియుగానికి వచ్చేది శంకర భగవత్పాదుల వారు జగద్గురు. వీరి పరంపరలో ఉన్నటువంటి వాళ్ళే ఆయా జగద్గురు నామధేయానికి అర్హులు అని చెప్పేసి కృష్ణ పరమాత్మ చెప్తాడు. గీతలో కూడా ఈ విషయం చెప్పాడు. అయితే ఈ జగద్గురు మరి వ్యాస పూర్ణిమ అంటే ఎందుకు వచ్చింది అంటే, వ్యాసుడు గురువు, ఆయన జగద్గురువు కాదు. జగద్గురువు వేరు, గురువు వేరు. ఇవాళ గురు పూర్ణిమ. మనందరికీ కూడా వ్యాసుడు గురువు అయినాడు. ఎందుకంటే వ్యాసోచ్ఛిష్టం జగత్ సర్వం అని ఈ సమస్త జగత్తులో కూడాను వ్యాసుడి నోట్లో నుంచి వచ్చినటువంటి వాంగ్మయమే మనం చెప్పుకుంటున్నాం. శుక్లాంబరధరం శ్లోకం దగ్గర నుంచి కూడా మహాపురాణాలన్నీ కూడాను, బ్రహ్మసూత్రాలు కూడా వ్యాస మహర్షి మనకి అందజేశాడు. కాబట్టి ఆయన గురువు, జగద్గురువు వేరు, గురువు వేరు. కాబట్టి ఆయన్ని గురువుగా పెట్టుకొని వాక్యములన్నీ కూడా మనం, అంటే ఈ రెండులో కూడాను ఇక్కడి నుంచి యతి మహాలయం అని, గృహస్థ యతి చాతుర్మాస్యులని, గృహస్థ చాతుర్మాస్యులని మనకి రెండు రకాలుగా ఉంటాయి. ఇవాటి నుంచి సన్యాసులు ప్రారంభిస్తారు చాతుర్మాస్యులు, గురు పౌర్ణిమ. వ్యాస మహర్షి కూడా అన్ని పురాణాలు, అన్ని శాస్త్రములు, సూత్రములు, బ్రహ్మసూత్ర భాష్యాలు అన్ని రాసి కూడా ఆయన సన్యాసమే తీసుకోరు. కానీ ఆయన కుమారుడైనటువంటి శుక మహర్షి మాత్రం సన్యాసి. ఆయన పుట్టడంతోనే యోగుడు, ఆయన యోగి. అందుకని ఈ యొక్క వ్యాస పౌర్ణిమ అనే పేరు ఎందుకు వచ్చింది? వ్యాస పౌర్ణిమ ఆయన రాసినటువంటి విధానములన్నీ కూడా పాటిస్తారు. ఆయనే గురువు. ఇట్లానే సన్యాసులందరూ కూడా ఈ రెండల్లో కూడా ఎక్కడికి కదలరు. దానికి ఇంకా చాలా మనం చెప్పుకోవాల్సింది ఏమిటి? ఎందుకు కదలరు అంటే, ఏదో వర్షాకాలం సన్యాసులకు ఒక నియమం ఉంది. అంటే ఏ ప్రాణిని కూడా హింసించము అని వాళ్ళు సన్యాసం తీసుకునే నాడు శపథం తెలుసుకుంటారు. వాళ్ళు ప్రతిదీ నేల మీద తుడుచుకొని నడవాలి. కనిపించినటువంటి జీవరాశులు ఉంటే తొక్కితే పాపం అని. అలాగే ఈ వర్షాకాలంలో ఈ వర్ష ఋతువు ఇవాటి నుంచి కూడా భూమిలో నుంచి నీళ్లు తెలిసి నేలంతా కూడా అక్కడ ఉన్నటువంటి జలచరాలన్నీ కూడాను పైకి వస్తూ ఉంటాయి భూమిలో నుంచి. వాటిని తొక్కాల్సి వస్తుందని ఒక చోట కదలకుండా కూర్చోవటం, ఇది గృహస్థ చాతుర్మాస్యం. అక్కడి నుంచి యతి చాతుర్మాస్యం. మన ఏకాదశి, తుల ఏకాదశి నుంచి గృహస్థ చాతుర్మాస్యం. కొంతమంది గృహస్థులు కూడా పూర్వం యోగులైన వాళ్ళు ఉండేవాళ్ళు. ప్రతి వాళ్ళు కూడా ఇవాటి నుంచి కూడాను కార్తీక శుద్ధ ఏకాదశి వరకు 4 నెలలు గృహస్థ చాతుర్మాస్యం ఎక్కడికి కదలకపోవడం అనేది ఉంది. అట్లాగే ఆహార పదార్థాల్లో కూడా నియమాలు. ఈ యొక్క వర్షాకాలంలో ఆకుకూరలు తినకూడదు, ఆకుకూరలో పురుగు ఉంటుంది. లేదా వంకాయ తినకూడదు, వంకాయలో పురుగు ఉంటుంది. ఇట్లా అన్నమాట. కొత్తగా వచ్చే పంటలు ఏమి తినకుండాగా అలా శాఖవ వ్రతం, పదవ వ్రతం, దశవ వ్రతం, సూప వ్రతం అని 4 నెలలు 4 వ్రతాలు. ఈ నెలలో ఇది తినకూడదు అని నియమం. అట్లాగని అటువంటి మహత్తరమైనటువంటి యొక్క గురు పౌర్ణమి నాడు ఈ యొక్క కార్యక్రమాన్ని చేపట్టి త్యాగరాజ స్వామి వారి యొక్క మనకి గురువు, అనేక రకములైనటువంటి గురువులు ఉన్నారని చెప్పుకున్నాం కదా. ఈ గురువుల యొక్క విషయాలంతా కూడా చెప్పినటువంటి వాడు వ్యాస మహర్షి. ఆయన చెప్పనటువంటి విషయం లేదు. సంగీతం కాదు, భరతనాట్యాలు కదని ఆయన చెప్పింది. వ్యాసోచ్ఛిష్టం జగత్ సర్వం. మొత్తం ఎవరన్నా కాపీ పెట్టారంటే ఆయన రాసిద్దే కాపీ పెట్టారు. ఆయన కొన్ని చోట్ల సూత్రప్రాయంగా రాసినటువంటి కొంతమంది ఇంకా మహర్షులు కానీ ఆ తర్వాత పండితులు కానీ దాన్ని వివరించి చెప్పగలిగారు తప్ప మూలం మాత్రం వారే, వ్యాస మహర్షి. అందులో ఈ సంగీత శాస్త్రాన్ని కూడా ఆ మత్స్య పురాణం, అగ్నేయ పురాణాదుల్లో ఈ సంగీతాన్ని గురించి కూడా వారు వ్యాస మహర్షి చెప్పారు. కాబట్టి ఆ సంగీతం మనకి ఈ యొక్క కలియుగంలో దక్షిణాత్య వాగ్గేయకారుల్లో ఉన్నటువంటి నలుగురిలో పురంధరదాసు, శ్యామశాస్త్రి, అలాగే త్యాగరాజు వారు, నాలుగో వారు ఉన్నారు. నలుగురు మనకి దక్షిణాత్య వాగ్గేయకారులు. అందులో త్యాగరాజు వారు ప్రధానమైనటువంటి గురువు. మరి వారి పేరున ఇప్పుడు మన యొక్క సమూహంలో వారిని తలుచుకుంటూ వారు రాసినటువంటి యొక్క కృతుల్ని ఇట్లా మనం ఆలపించుకోవడం అనేటువంటిది వారికి సంతృప్తి కలుగుతుంది. ఎందుకనంటే మహర్షులు దాకా అక్కర్లా. మనం లోకంలో కూడా ఏదన్నా ఒక పాట రాసినా, ఒక గ్రంథం రాసినా కూడా ఏమనుకుంటారు? నా పుస్తకం చదివారా అనుకుంటాం. కొంతమంది అడుగుతుంటారు. ఎందుకంటే వాళ్ళకి తృప్తి, నేను చూశారు, నేను రాసిన పుస్తకం వాళ్ళు అర్థం చేసుకున్నారు, చదువుకున్నారు అనేటువంటిది ఒక తృప్తి ఉంటుంది. అలాగే గురువులు రాసినటువంటి ఆ యొక్క గీతముల్ని అలా ఆలాపిస్తే కేవలం సాక్షాత్తు ఆ గురువుల్ని మనం స్మరించుకున్నట్టే, గురువుల్ని తృప్తిపరుచుకున్నట్లే, వాడు తృప్తిపడినట్టే. కాబట్టి ఆ తృప్తిపడేటువంటి ఆ గురువుల యొక్క అనుగ్రహం మనందరికీ కూడా కలిగి ఈ కార్యక్రమం నిర్విఘ్నంగా ఆ గురువుల యొక్క అనుగ్రహం చేత కొనసాగాలని చెప్పేసి ఆశీర్వదిస్తున్నాం.
ధన్యవాదాలు గురువు గారు. మేము ఇంకా ముందుకు సాగుతాం.
స్వస్తి.
So we received the ample blessings of Guruji. Now we will move forward from here. For the paucity of time, I am not paraphrasing what Guru said, but I will later share it in the group in some other form. But right now, let me introduce Dr. Radha Bhaskar ji, who is the guest of the evening. She's actually very accomplished. We won't be able to do full justice to introducing her, but here is a tip of the iceberg type of introduction that I will attempt. Dr. Radha Bhaskar is a unique combination of a vocal musician, musicologist, teacher, journalist, and a cultural organizer. He is a disciple of Sri Padma Bhushan, Sri P.S. Narayan Swami Garu, and has performed in many concerts all over India and abroad. In recognition of her humane service to music, she has received several titles, some of which I will read out. Kala Seva Bharati, Yuva Kala Bharati, Kala Samrakshini, Kala Seva Vipanchi, Sangeeta Kala Sevak, Sangeeta Kala Bharati, Acharya Award, Sparkling Diamond Award, etc. She was also conferred the Musical Excellence Award by Shivan Arts Academy and Women of Excellence Award by Women Economic Forum and Rajalakshmi Institute. In fact, she had the rare privilege of conducting a spectacular group singing program by 5,000 school children in front of Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, who was the former President of India. And along with her husband, Shri Radha Bhaskar ji, she co-founded the Palam TV, which is a web radio providing 24/7 broadcast of Carnatic music, bhajans, lecture demonstrations, full-length live performances. And these are actually in very high quality, and I'm sure many people are already listening to it. So if you have ever listened to it and wondered who is behind it, it is Dr. Radha Bhaskar and her husband. So she's a doctorate she holds, and her thesis was on Carnatic music concerts and analytical study. She has given many educative lecture demonstrations and also participated in several prestigious panel discussions all over India. She is a recipient of several fellowships and conducts pioneering research in the field of Carnatic music. She is the editor of the arts magazine Samudra for the last 17 years. She is a treasurer of the unique 27-year-old cultural organization called Mudra, which has made a distinct name for itself through its innovative and creative approach to performing arts. She has been sharing her music knowledge by conducting music appreciation programs. Of course, she has been widely welcomed and invited by the Ministry of Culture of the Government of India to conduct workshops on appreciating Carnatic music. She was selected as a member of the Rotary International's Group Study Exchange Program to visit Arizona, USA in 1997. She has served as an expert member in the Ministry of Culture, Government of India, and also been a member of the Board of Studies in Indian Music at the Madras University and the Annamalai University. And while all that is invited, there is something very spontaneous about her, and she magnanimously shares a vast repertoire of experience of her several roles that we talked about associated with music through her program, a very popular program called CM365, Carnatic Music 365 on the YouTube, on the channel, on the Radha Bhaskar channel, where she offers 5 to 10 minute capsules of deep insights into various aspects of Carnatic music, which I have been sharing in the group from time to time. So today actually marks the 250th episode, and on track to produce 250 episodes without losing a single day is a great achievement, and it's a great testimony to her commitment to Carnatic music. So this is a kind of tip of the iceberg introduction that I have offered for Dr. Radha Bhaskar. And today she has very kindly consented to talk on the topic of thyAgarAja vaibhavam. So madam, this group rAma Bhakti sAmrAjyam's motto is actually to rAma through thyAgarAja. So we dwell on and delve in on the kritis and works of thyAgarAja Swami, and we try to actually find rAma Bhakti there. So please take it away. And we are a little bit behind schedule, but please take it away from here.
Namaste to all of you. First of all, I think it's a great blessing that on this auspicious day of Guru pUrNimA, I'm able to address such a enlightened group, rAma Bhakti sAmrAjyam, where I understand that all of you have been regularly meeting and discussing about the philosophy of thyAgarAja's composition, his life and other things. So today I'll be probably adding a small drop to that ocean that you've been discussing. That's all I can do, because that is the vast dimension that thyAgarAja and his music is. And of course, Guru Garu now, he gave a beautiful introduction about Guru pUrNimA and Vyasa pUrNimA, the significance I could also understand. So I will not go into all that now, and I'll directly delve into the subject of my discussion today. I have taken up the topic of Sri Rama Vaibhavam, Sri thyAgarAja Vaibhavam, sorry. Rama and thyAgarAja are both synonymous, so it doesn't really make much of a difference. Sri thyAgarAja Vaibhavam, which is going to be my way of offering a celebration of the philosophy of thyAgarAja, a celebration of his music. And we will begin the presentation with a beautiful composition, a very popular one of Sri thyAgarAja, extolling the greatness of Guru and saying that without the Guru, any amount of accomplishment is actually absolutely pointless without the grace of the Guru. So we begin with the composition Guru and Guru Leka Yetuvanti, and then proceed with our subject. Guru Leka Yetuvanti Gudiki Teliyakapodu 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 Karukaina Redroga Ganamunu Gotanu Sadguru Leka Yetuvanti Gudiki Teliyakapodu Tanuvu Sute Dhanadara Dayadi Bandhavulu Janiyachi Chedarudalini Karunato Manasunantakaseyu Mandanuchu Tatma Bodhana Jessica Padu thyAgarAja Tudaku Guru Leka Yetuvanti Gudiki Teliyakapodu Guru Leka Yetuvanti Gudiki Teliyakapodu. If you see the role of the Guru, he is the one who leads us towards the path of knowledge. Now, in the case of the Trinity, that is Sri thyAgarAja, Dikshadhar and Shyama Sastri, we see how they were guided into the path of bhakti, guided into the path of music, both simultaneously, by very great gurus in a very unique way. This unique way of being guided is what makes them very, very distinct, I would say, because in the lives of many saints there have been gurus, but here it is a very, very unique kind of instances which have happened in their life in terms of how they were guided into the path of bhakti as well as music. In the case of Sri thyAgarAja, we see that he actually had 3 gurus, I would say. The first guru was the one who introduced him into mantropadesham, that is Rama Taraka Mantram. We know that he was introduced to do the japa of Rama Namam, and for that he had Ramakrishnananda as his guru. Then he also had his training, very strong training in music from Sonti Venkatasubbayya and Sonti Venkataramanayya, and the most important happening in his life in terms of the guru is that Saint or Sri Narada actually came in the guise of a sannyasi and initiated him into several deeper layers and realms of music. So that way, Narada also happens to be one of the most important guru in the life of Sri thyAgarAja. I'm sure this enlightened group would be knowing about the instance where how Narada came in the guise of a sannyasi. That is, one day, what happened was that on a pUrNimA day, he actually guised as a sannyasi and came to have bhiksha at the place of Sri thyAgarAja. He told Sri thyAgarAja that he would just go for a bath in the Kaveri and come back, and this sannyasi went, and after that thyAgarAja was waiting and waiting for him, but he never returned. So the night came, and at that time Saint thyAgarAja realized that okay, the sannyasi is not going to come back, and so he went off to sleep. And in his dream, Saint Narada came actually, and earlier what happened was that when the sannyasi came to his house, he brought a bundle of manuscripts which he kept there actually. So in the sleep, when in the dream, Narada came and he said that there are a bundle of manuscripts here, and these are very valuable things that he must put to use. So immediately what happened was that thyAgarAja actually opened this bundle, and then he saw that very valuable work, the swArnava was there, and also another work, Naradiyam. Now the swArnavam is a very, very important gift, I would say, not only to thyAgarAja, but it is also a gift to the entire musical world, to the entire world of spirituality, for everything, I would say, because it contains several intricate things about music. And that is what paved the way, I would say, for him to understand the nuances of music, understand the deeper aspects of music, and that is how he also became an exemplary Vagyekara. And he has given us absolutely unparalleled compositions in terms of depicting his bhakti, or in terms of the musicality. Both we will be discussing about in our presentation here now. So that way we see that this particular work, the swArnam which is given to him, has got actually the entire science of music in a dialogue between Shiva and Parvati. And there is also a interesting shloka in this, a very rare shloka which I would like to share with you here, which says, Atma Madhyagata Prana, Prana Madhyagato Dhvani, Dhvani Madhyagato Nada, and Nada Madhya Sadashiva. That is the genesis of the concept of God as Nada Brahman has been, as the embodiment of music has been depicted here. And coming back to this Narada Maharishi, on this aspect of Narada being depicted as a great guru, one who initiated him into the realms of music, immediately we see that he bursts into a beautiful song which goes like, Shri Narada Muni Guru Raya Ganti Menati Tapamo Guru Raya, where he also says, he actually proclaims sage Narada as a mentor par excellence, and he says that because of his tapas, that he is able to have this sage Narada as his mentor. And in the Charanam also, he mentions about Rajillu Venegala Guru Raya, thyAgarAjuni Brochina Sadguru Raya. So this particular song is very important to show how Narada became one of the gurus and imparted knowledge to Sri thyAgarAja. And there is also another composition where he proclaims Narada as his guru in the composition Varanarada Narayana in the Ragam Vijayashri. Varanarada Narayana Sparananandano Bhavamugala Varanarada Narayana Sparananandano Bhavamugala. So where he says that this particular composition, O glorious Narada, you are perpetually experiencing the bliss arising out of your meditating upon Narayana. And in this composition, he also mentions how that Sri Hari himself proclaimed you as the greatest guru of the whole universe, and that he and you are identical, and thus caused your glory to spread throughout. Like this, we see that there are a few compositions which extols Narada as the guru of thyAgarAja. Now, in the case of thyAgarAja, we see that he was blessed abundantly by these gurus, which I mentioned here, in the path of bhakti, in the path of music, in the path of understanding the deeper layers of music, that is the Lakshya Lakshana aspects of music. For everything, he was really blessed to have this kind of a guidance. Now, a guru is not only one. Here in the case of thyAgarAja, he was not only blessed by these gurus, but he also happened to be a blessed guru in the sense that he created a very extensive kind of a Shishya Parampara. Now, for any philosophy or for any music or anything which is very valuable to perpetuate and to be passed on, we need a good lineage, and that Shishya Parampara is very important. And we could say that among the Trinity, the largest parampara has been had by Sri thyAgarAja only. And he had maximum number of disciples. And also very interestingly, we see that there are 3 schools of Shishya Parampara here that he had. That is, each one is noted for a different kind of a speciality. That's a different subject altogether. But nevertheless, the point is that he had 3 Shishya Paramparas, the Umayalpuram school, the Thillaisthanam school, and the Valajapet school. And for these 3 schools, they had Umayalpuram Krishna Bhagavatar and Sundara Bhagavatar for the Umayalpuram school as the main kind of, the people who propagated it, the founders. And then we have the Thillaisthanam Rama Iyengar and Valajapet Venkatramana Bhagavatar. And after this, these people had a line of disciples, and thus we are very fortunate to get all these compositions for us, because at that time we know that the system of notation and all was not there, and it was only taught by the guru. So these kind of disciples who learn directly from thyAgarAja, we owe also a lot to them, because they're also great gurus in the sense that they have carried forward this great tradition and given us these priceless compositions. Now, coming to the rAma as conceived by thyAgarAja. Of course, we see that Lord Rama has several dimensions in the compositions of thyAgarAja, in the sense that you can look at it from various aspects. And this group, I'm sure, has had a lot of discussions on these areas of what are the dimensions in which thyAgarAja has actually looked at Rama. And but basically, for him, Rama is the very embodiment of the essence of Nada. That is also there. Since I'm a musician, I'm trying to connect it with more with the musical aspect. And he also mentions in his compositions that it is Rama's infinite excellence, his bewitching form, wondrous attributes that make him his choice. His songs, that is thyAgarAja's songs, abound in extolling Rama's qualities. Of course, among the qualities that he defines in his compositions. The most important one is that of the Rupa, that is the charm of Rama's appearance is depicted so nicely in many, many compositions. Next comes his charm of speech. Then comes Saulabhya as illustrated by his behavior towards Guha, Shabari and the monkeys. And it was to exemplify dharma that Rama appeared. And next comes Rama's Satya and Ekapatni Vrata and Paranari Sagodari. These are all epithets which are addressed to Rama. Now coming to the aspect of music, we see that thyAgarAja emphasizes music as an aid to bhakti. And he also says that this is an ideal medium for mukti itself. And of all the arts, music has the greatest power to take us away easily and immediately from the mundane plane. For this, we could take the classic example of his composition Mokshamo Galada, where he doubts whether moksha without the knowledge of Sangeeta or without bhakti is attainable by one. Let us look at a few lines from this composition. Mokshamo Galada Bhuvilo Jivalmuktulo Kani Varale Mokshamo Galada Sakshat Karani Bhakti Sangeeta Jnana Vihino Laku Mokshamo Galada. The Charanam he says, Prana Anala Samyogamo Valla Pranavanada Sata Swaramuru Paraga Veena Patana Loludo Shiva Mano Vidhameru Garu Tyaga Rajavi Nuda Mokshamo Galada. A very beautiful composition which shows the relation of moksha and the knowledge of music. There is also the concept of vairagya that he has been emphasizing in several songs. One composition we'll take here. Narayana Hari, Narayana Hari, Narayana Hari, Narayana, Narayana Hari, Narayana Hari, Narayana Hari, Narayana, Nashwaramai Dhanashvabu Lanune Vishwasilcha Bhuteshwara Hari Hari Narayana Hari Narayana Hari Narayana Hari Narayana Naju Pulumi Naju Kutanamu Nejudani Tyaga Rajula Narayana Hari, Narayana Hari, Narayana Hari, Narayana Hari, Narayana. Where he says that, O Hari, O Narayana, who blossoms in the heart of thyAgarAja, let my sight behold only your elegance. Now we come to the aspect of bhakti. This group, of course, would have, I'm sure, discussed the bhakti bhava of thyAgarAja and his compositions on several occasions. The Navaveda bhakti that we talk about, that is Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakhyam, Atma Nivedanam. Now we see that the great saints, there have been many such saints, and each one has actually chosen one or a few of the paths for attaining that, that level of bhakti. But interestingly, we see that in the compositions of thyAgarAja, that is in the kirtanas of thyAgarAja, he seems to have experienced all these Navaveda bhakti. I will be just sharing a few snatches, a few lines from the compositions. Of course, I know that this group, I saw also on the website and their Facebook that they believe in rendering all the charanas, because from the Artha Bhava, it is very important for us to render all the charanas in their proper sequence in order to give that complete essence of the composition from the Sahitya portion. But due to paucity of time, I'll just run through a few lines here and there, because my point here is about trying to show how the Navaveda Bhakti has been captured in the compositions of thyAgarAja. First is, of course, the concept of Shravanam, that is listening to the Lord's glory. I'm sure immediately this composition comes to your mind. Rama Katha Sudha Rasapana Mokaraja Muje Sune where he says that to drink the nectar of the story of Sri Rama is equal to ruling a kingdom. Of course, since there are about 675 compositions of thyAgarAja available, there may be many more examples for each of this, but I'm just trying to convey my message through a few compositions here and there. Then the concept of Kirtana that he has established, that is by singing the glory of Rama. Inta kannananda memi O Rama Rama Inta kannananda memi O Rama Rama Santa Janula Kela Sammati Yundu Kadi Inta Kannananda Meri. So he says, what else is greater bliss than this? And I'm sure that all people will agree upon this, that the singing the glory of the God is of utmost bliss for us. The next is about Smarana, that is constant memory of the Lord. And in this, we could cite the example of Rama Kodanda Rama, Rama Kalyana Rama, Rama Kodanda Rama, Rama Kalyana Rama, Rama namame melu, Rama chintane chalu, Rama neevu nannelu, Rama rayade chalu. So where he says that the smarana of the Lord's name is very, very important. The next aspect of bhakti is pada sevana. That is worshipping the Lord's feet. In one of the compositions in Hamsadvani, he says, Raghunayakani padamula, Raghunayakani padayoga rajiva mulane vidajala shri Raghunayaka. Where he says that I will not let go your lotus feet. The next aspect is archana, that is worship through various means. Of course, the Utsava Sampradaya Kirtanas of thyAgarAja depicts the different forms of archana that he has adopted. That is a topic by itself. Probably it will need a separate session, so I'm not going to the details of the ways of archana, but just make a mention here of one composition. Tulasi dala mula che santosha muga pujintu, Tulasi dala mula che santosha muga, where he in the charanam he makes a mention of the various flowers that he is using to worship the Lord, like lotus, punnaga, champaka, kuravaka, mallika, tulasi, etc. He makes mention for the ways or the flowers and other things which are using to worship the Lord. And of course, Aragim Pave, there are many such compositions which shows the different ways in which he is worshipping the Lord through the medium of archana. Then vandanam, that is prostrating to the God, doing vandanam to the God, that is one another medium of bhakti. This is also depicted in one of his compositions. Vandanamu Raghunandana Setu Bandana Bhakta Chandana Rama Vandanamu Raghunandana Shridhamanato Vadama Nebedamayiti Modama Rama Vandanamu Raghunandana. Of course, there are many charanas to this, but for want of time, I'm just skipping all that and just sticking to my topic. Then the next is the Dasya Bhava. Again, there's a beautiful composition for this as well. Tavadasogham, 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 Dasharathe, Tavadasogham, 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 Dasharathe, Varabridhu bhasha virahita dosha naravaravesha dasharathe tavadasogham 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 dasharathe Sarasi janetra parama pavitra surapati mitra dasharathe tavadasogham 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 dasharathe Then there are also other compositions to depict the Sakhya Bhava. In the composition in Yadukula Kambodi, Chelimini Jalajaksha Kante Cheparaya, where he mentions in the Charana, thyAgarAja Sakudani, that is a friend of thyAgarAja, that Sakhya Bhava, that is also expressed in many more compositions. Then the last of the bhakti, Navavida Bhakti, is Atma Nivedanam, or the self-surrender. In the composition Nannu Vidachi Kadalakura, we see that he expresses the concept of Atma Nivedanam. Here it's a very beautiful composition. Nannu Vidachi Kadalakura Ramaya Rama Ramaya Vadalakura. As we see that whether in one or more forms, whatever be the ways, of course, thyAgarAja was fortunate enough, I would say, to be able to worship Lord Rama in the Navavida Bhakti, 9 modes of Bhakti. He was able to incorporate through his compositions, through singing the glory of Rama and sharing his ecstasy, his various emotions of Rama through this Navavida Bhaktis. But what is important is that the Sthayi Bhava of Sthira Bhakti is very, very important. Only when the devotee has got Sthira Bhakti towards the Lord, then the Lord possesses the devotee completely. And then the God or the Lord becomes the prop of one's life, the strength of the body, one's joy and happiness. And the Lord becomes everything for the devotee. And the Lord becoming everything for the devotee and pervading the devotee's life, we can see that in the case of thyAgarAja's life. He is the most exemplary example I could give you, where the Lord himself actually comes and he becomes the entire adhara of thyAgarAja's life itself. So that way we see that in the compositions of thyAgarAja, one aspect is the bhakti bhava. But I also wanted to share another aspect of his contribution, because of the fact that as a musician, I feel that while he did show us the spiritual path, he did guide us through the path of bhakti. His contribution, his monumental contribution to the world of music actually is immeasurable, I would say. If today we are proud of what we call as the great Karnataka Sangeeta, which is famous the world over, if we are having such a strong base of Lakshya and Lakshana, for everything, I think we owe much to Sri thyAgarAja, who laid the path for us, who showed the path for us as to what music is all about. Music in its various dimensions, that is music as a path to salvation, or music by itself as a language, everything has been very beautifully illustrated by thyAgarAja in his compositions. Now we see that the greatest contribution of thyAgarAja is that he is the first composer, I would say, who combined the art of music in its highest level with the religious truths. In his kritis, he emphasizes the importance of worshipping Lord Rama, which we saw earlier also. But it also, he says that it should be accompanied with music. And he emphasizes that it should be characterized by Shruti Shuddha, Laya Shuddha, Suswara, and that which is accompanied to the tambura. So the bhakti, the music here, he also emphasizes the various aspects of the tenets of music that one has to imbibe in order to make it a balanced kind of approach. And he also emphasized the true function of a Bhagavata and says that it is not just about being a bhakta, but also being a very good musician. So this is actually emphasized in several of his compositions. The Rama Bhakti of Sri thyAgarAja, which inspired him to sing his heart out, may be compared with the devotion of Prahalada, whose unalloyed love towards Hari has been very admirably immortalized also in his work, the Prahalada Bhakti Vijayam. thyAgarAja's kritis actually, they represent a highly melodic music which inspires us both musically and spiritually. And here I would like to make a point about the fact that we did have many more saints before thyAgarAja who also spread various spiritual doctrines. For example, we have had Sadashiva Brahmendra, Annamacharya and others. But to me, thyAgarAja stands very tall among all these Bhagyakaras because of the fact that while the others used music as a language to convey the bhakti, here we see that for thyAgarAja, music itself became a beautiful language to convey the multiple shades of the art. So while on one side, he uses music as a vehicle to convey his bhakti towards Rama, I would also say that music becomes a beautiful language in his hands where he has really contributed remarkably. We'll be sharing a few things about that today here to show what a beautiful vast vista he has opened for us in the realm of music is absolutely unimaginable. With minimum means of execution, he has given maximum melodic expression. And we see that in his compositions, what is very important is that we have probably we have with us available about 675 compositions of his. And in this we see that his compositions, there the what are the already prevalent ragas, those ragas actually have gained special luster and special sheen in the hands of thyAgarAja. For example, we already have had ragas like shankarabharanam, Kamodi, Kalyani, shankarabharanam. These all have been Bhairavi, have been handled earlier by many composers. But through his own compositions, he has given us new dimensions which were unexplored by other Bhagyakaras. And he also has created so many new ragas himself, which is called as the Vinta ragas. And that again laid the path for showing us how we can explore and experiment. So I would say that thyAgarAja, from a musical point of view, he has been very traditional in terms of following the Lakshya and Lakshana, which was laid by the great stalwarts earlier, the great saints earlier. But he's also a great innovator, I would say, because of the fact that he experimented so much with the ragas and created new vistas for us. And probably in that sense, he is also a trendsetter, I would say, in terms of bringing in so much of new dimension into the field of music. Within the limited time available, I'll just like to run through some of the major contributions that he has done in terms of the musical aspects. As I mentioned, first of all, he is a perfect or fine blend, I would say, of tradition and innovation. And in his compositions also, I see that when I studied it, from the most simple to the most complex, from the most common ragas to rare ragas, and different kinds of kala pramana, everything has been introduced by him. The simple to complex, I feel there is a purpose in his doing it. We see that the Divyanama Sankirtana, Utsava Sampradaya Kirtana, all these are in very, very simple tune. For example, Shri Rama, Shri Rama, Shri Manohar Rama, Gelarani Daya, Intaila Radaya, Shri Rama, Shri Rama, Shri Manohar Rama, Bhakta Kantudata, Padmane Trudata, Shri Rama, Shri Rama, Shri Manohar Rama. There are many charanas in this, of course. What I want to focus here is that this is in the Ragam Sahana, but the way he has tuned it in such a simple way and given it such a simple structure is such that even if you don't know it is Sahana, even if you don't know the intricacies or the Aronavana of Sahana, immediately on listening to it, you can catch up and sing along. So I think thyAgarAja had a very large purpose of creating this in the sense that he felt that music is something which is meant for everybody. Music has to be taken as a path towards bhakti by everybody, and music is for all. That is the purpose of creating such simple songs where you can sing along without even knowing anything about music. So where he showed us the path of bhakti through the simple songs. Then the next extreme, of course, is taking music as an art form, a serious art form, and showing what are the possibilities in music, the extensive possibilities in music. For him, even the sky is not the limit, I would say, in terms of exploring the vistas of raga, tala, the kala pramana, the edupu, so many things he has explored. And what is important is that the path that he laid was also very, very simple. That is important. If you create a very complex kind of a system, a complex kind of a composition, for example, if you take the, just for a comparison, the compositions of Dikshadhar, they are much more complex in the sense that the later composers actually did not follow his style. Rather, we see that the parampara after that, which came, like we see that Mysore, Vasudevacharya, Patnam Subramanian, Papanasam Shivan, so many composers who came after that found that the format of compositions that was created by thyAgarAja was so simple, so beautiful, and very communicative. So they adopted that. In that, I would just like to share one thing with you about the musical genius of thyAgarAja, that he created one of the first to create the format of Pallavi Anupallavi Charanam, where the tune of the Anupallavi gets repeated verbatim in the latter part of the Charanam. This you can see in many of his compositions. You'll be able to see how the Anupallavi's tune gets repeated in the later part of the Charanam. I'll just give you a small example for that. Very popular composition that all of you know, Banturiti Kulu. Banturiti Kolo Viya Vaya Rama, Banturiti Kolo Viya Vaya Rama, Banturiti Kolo Viya Vaya Rama, Banturiti Kolo Viya Vaya Rama. Anupallavi. ತುಂಟ ವಿಟ್ಟಿವಾನಿ ಮೊದಲೇನ ಮಾದ ತುಂಟ ವಿಟ್ಟಿವಾನಿ ಮೊದಲೇನ ಮದ ತುಂಟ ವಿಟ್ಟಿವಾನಿ ಮೊದಲೇನ ಮದ ದುಲಬಟಿ ನೇಲ ಕುಲ ಜಯುನಿಜ ಬಂಟು ರೀತಿ ಕೋಲುವಿಯ ವೈಯ ರಾಮ. The Charanam. Romanchamanu Dhanakanchukamo Radha Bhaktundanu Mudra Billayu Ramanamamanu Varakhatka Mivirajillu Naiga thyAgarAjunike Banturiti. If you look at the Anupallavi and the Charanam, let's see how the tune gets repeated verbatim, like Tunta Vintivani Modalina Bada Ramana Mamane Vadakat Kabibi Tunta Vintivani Modalina Madara Madama Manu Vadakat Kabibi Ramanama. Similarly, Tunta Vintivani Modalina Mada. Similarly, Ramana Bamanu Vadakat Mivi. Like this, you can see this similarity of the Anupallavi's tune get repeated verbatim in the latter part of the Charana. This is a very distinct stamp, I would say, that he has created. Of course, he has also shown us here, he, unlike Dikshadhar, who adopted many other forms, like Dikshadhar also created the Raga Malika and a Varnam also, or Shyama Sastri has composed Varnams and Swarajatis. thyAgarAja actually stuck to the form of Kriti and Kirtanas. So he has shown us the immense possibilities. Actually, this was one of my research project also I had taken up to show the different varieties of the Kriti that he has explored in terms of the format. Is absolutely amazing. I could categorize about more than 12 or 13 ways. That is, for example, this is the Pallavi and Anupallavi Charanam, then Pallavi, multiple Charanams, then Pallavi, and then you see that the Anupallavi and one Charanam, as the case of here, or sometimes you see that Madhyama Kala is part of the Charanam. So there are different formats. And of course, the Pancharatna Kriti that he has composed in the Ragams, Natai, Gola, Arabi, Varali, and Shri is a class apart, I would say. Another beautiful compositional form, which is unparalleled. We could say that never before, never after. I could definitely say that, because nobody has been able to really compose a compositional form of that nature. The Pancharatnams are indeed the Ratnams, unparalleled Ratnams in our music arena, I would say. And this Pancharatnam, actually, if you study deeply, you see that they're actually not the kind of Kriti that thyAgarAja has composed otherwise. So it's a beautiful amalgamation, or a beautiful seamlessly, he has absorbed the best elements of Kriti, Kirtana, then the Varnam, the Tanam types, then the Swarajati. Everything has been combined to create one new one new form has emerged, they would say, out of that, and that is the Pancharatna. So that way he has shown us the immense possibilities of the forms that the Kriti can take. That is one thing I wanted to share here, to bring to the fact that it is not just about singing the glory of Rama, but the in-depth kind of study that he has made of music and how that has been reflected in his compositions is absolutely amazing. And the next thing, of course, I wanted to share is about the raga concept that he has given us. In fact, his method of approaching the ragas, his method of classification the ragas has become the role model for the future also. In the sense that we see that in his about 675 compositions that is available to us, he has employed about 200 ragas actually. And in this 600 are in the Shuddha Madhyama ragas, and 83 are in the, that is the other compositions are in the Pratimadhyama ragas. And he has also created a number of ragas. Now in various fields, in various subjects, we have the theory of permutation combination. It's seen in any field of studies. We see that this permutation combination is very important for something new to emerge. So the way thyAgarAja has used the theory of permutation combination in his compositions in the ragas is absolutely, I would say, mind-boggling. And he has created so many new ragas for us through this. He has given a feast of new ragas for us, like the ragams like Suddha Simantini, Jagan Mohini, Hamsanadam, Saramati, Kiranavali, Jaya Manohari, Bahudayari, Jayantashri, Chandra Jyoti, Malaya Marudam, Bindu Malini. Actually, there are so many ragas. I just wanted to mention a few of them here. Now, another important musical contribution that all of us must definitely understand is that thyAgarAja, when he introduced the new ragas, there was absolutely no ambiguity in the presentation of the ragas. That is the beauty of his compositions, where in the very first phrase, he makes us understand, oh, this is the scale, or this is the movement of the raga. And this is seen every composition, every rare ragam that is created, you see this. Let me give you a small example. Chandra Jyoti, one of the ragams which is created, where the Aruna is like Sarigama Padasa Sada Pamagari Sa Bagayani Maya Lento Brahma Krina Koniyada Tarama Bagayani. So where Pamagari Sadasa Sadari. Or another composition of his in Kiranavali. Yeti yochana loche sevura yeti yochana lo. Now, here again, another very important thing which skips the mind of many of us is to the aspect of the Kala Pramana of the Ragams also that he has shown us, that not every Ragam has got the same Kala Pramana. This is a very beautiful concept that he has shown us, where I'd just like to cite a small example of the Ragam Kiravani and two ragas that he has Janya ragas that he has created from that. Kiravani, Kaligi Umti, all of us know that composition. And from that he has created 2 ragas. One is Kiranavali and another is Kalyana Vasanta. Just one line from the song in Kiravani. Kaligi Umte Gadaya Galgo no Kamita Pala Here, another beautiful method of progression that he has shown in this ragam. You'll be amazed to see it when I analyze it here. The arona of this ragam is Sari Gama Padani Sa Sanida Pa Magari Sa. See how through this one line he halts on every note. Sa Ri Ga Ma Pa Da Ni Sa. How does it happen? Let's see. Ka Kalige Sa, starting on the Sa. Kalige Yunte Ri Gada, on the note Ga. Ga Gada Galgo no. So Gada Galma Galgo no Pa. Next emphasize then. Now Dhaivata. Kamita Phala Da 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 Ni Sa So where he comes back to the thyAgarAja, like when we go out of our house also, we start from the house, we may go to several places, but finally at the end of the day we come back to the house, like that. He shows all the notes of this Kiravani, and then finally lands on the Sa. Now this Kiravani has been composed in a Chauka Kala by him to show the gamut of the ragam in all its grandeur. Now 2 ragas coming out of this. See the pace of the ragam that he has created. Kiranavali. Yeti yochanalu che sevura yeti yochanalu. Or the composition. Nadalo lode brahmananda mandave manasa nadalo lode. Now coming back to Kiranavali, just to show you one example, see the brilliance. I could keep going on and on. Just one example I'll show you. Sariga ma pada ni sa sanida pa magari sa is the arona of Kiravani. Kiranavali, there is only one difference, that the arona is the same as Kiravani. Sariga ma pada ni sa sapa magari sa sapa magari sa. So the only difference here is that this ragam skips the nishada and the dhaivata and uses the phrase sapa. So the key of the ragam, or the heart of the ragam, I would say, lies in sapa magarisa. And throughout the composition Yeti Ochanalu, you see that this sapa gets reiterated in its different dimensions, like Yeti Yochanalu che sevura Yeti. So whenever he is singing, the Sangati is whatever is being done, but this Yeti Ochana, the Sapa, that concept is kept intact. Even when he goes to the Anupallavi, you see, he keeps this, encompassing this Sapa towards, even while going in the Tarasthai, noti mata chakara dura, noti mata. And in the charanam, he again uses, because charanam we know operates more on the purvanga and the mandrasthai, where sapa rendu matalade. So the sapa throughout the composition is reiterated so that the key, the heart of the ragam is re-emphasized each time. So like this for every rare ragam, if we take Bahudari for example, vaibhavam rAma, vaibhavam. Again, no ambiguity. Padani pamaga, gamaga sa gama padani pamaga. Any ragam you take for that matter, that is a full subject. We can do a full lecdem on that itself actually. So, but we leave it at that now. Just to show you that this aspect of his brilliance. And of course, we also see that when I was talking about the main Rakti ragas like Shankarabharana, where he has composed 30 compositions, Todi 29, Kalyani 21 compositions, Bhairavi you see 18 compositions, Karar Priya 13, Kapi 14, Harikamboji 11, and so on. Here I would like to humbly place that, again, the aspect that we must never undermine the genius of thyAgarAja in our search to make him a spiritual guru. This is my humble appeal, in the sense that if he wanted to just spread the doctrines of philosophy, I'm sure he would not have resorted to singing 30 compositions in Shankarabharana in a way that each composition focuses on a different dimension of Shankarabharana. That is important. If all the compositions in Shankarabharana sounded the same, we do not have the musical value there. So if you take Todi, for example, there are umpteen examples. I don't have time now to show you, but every swara has been taken as the starting point to start the composition. That is a uniqueness. Now, just one example I will show you. Another brilliance of his, that how the composer can think. In fact, he is the innovator of the highest order, according to me. Just one example I'll give you. We all know that the shadja is very, very important to music. And in his compositions, especially one I will take the example of Panthurali, where most of his compositions actually start on the Tara Shadja, like Shambha Magha Deva, Shambha Magha Deva, or Ninne Neranam Minanura, or Sundara Taradeham Vadeham rAma, or Narada Muni Vedalina, or Raghuvaranuma, or Shiva 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 Yanarada. In all these compositions, you saw that the sa was given the most important focus. Now, he thought very offbeat in terms of creating a composition in the same Panthurali. This particular composition I'm going to sing does not touch the Shadja at all in any point. What is that composition? Vadana Dyuti Jita Soma Vasudha Manasa Kama Madhamanava Gadabhima Mapahi Shri Rama Shobhane Shobhane, where the range of the composition is like Nere Ga Madha Pamagari Sanidha. So you saw that the maximum note touched here was only the Daivata. He never touched the Tara Shadja. Absolutely mind-boggling thought process, according to me. Pamada Pamagari Sani da ni ri sa ni da ni ri. The whole composition operates only between the Mandra Dhaivata to the Madhya Dhaivata, like Dha ni ri ga ma dha pa ma ga ri sa ni dha ni ri sa. I'll just give you one more example to share the genius of the musicianship of thyAgarAja. I'm almost running out of time. So, one of the important aspects that he introduced is in the realm of ragas. In the tala aspect also, we see that we all know that he lived during the Maratha rule in India, and so the influence of the Marathi kirtans was very much predominant in his composition, where he introduced what we call as the Deshadi Tala. This is something he created, and many compositions are available in this concept of Deshadi Tala, where it is Adi Tala, but the way the accent and structure is done is absolutely a unique feature, I would say, which was unthought of by anyone before. Let us look at a few compositions to see how these compositions in the Deshadi Talam sound. Banturiti kolu viya vaya rama yentane china yenta jo china marugelara o raghava brova bharama ragurama bagayani mayalento tanamidale chepukovale ganamurte Shri Krishna Venu Sitapate Namanasuna Makelara Vicharamu Yeti Yochanalu Chesebura Chalamelara Saketarama Ragunayakani Padayoga Teliyaleru rAma bhakti marga Like this I could keep going on to show the conceptualization of the Deshadi Talam. This is a very simple kind of talam that he devised. Again, this is helps much in terms of everybody singing together, where you see that the Rendikale that we talk about, the expansive treatment he gives in the Rendikale Kirtanas are something which you really need to be initiated in order to sing them. But these kind of songs in Deshadi Talam are very simply structured, and everybody can join in singing this. Like this, if we look at the aspect of Kala Pramana, that is another thing I wanted to share. He is probably one of the unique composers, Vagekaras, who has thought about the concept of Kala Pramana. Kala Pramana, I'm not talking just about the composition's kalam or the speed or the tempo of the composition. He has gone so deep into the music that he also explores the Kala Pramana of the swara itself in his composition. You must be wondering what I'm saying here. For example, if you see the Madhyamavati, if you take, where the Re is the most important note. Re, Re, Sa, Re, Ma, Pa, Ni, Sa, Sa, Ni, Pa, Ma, Re, Sa. I'll just sing the first line of 3 compositions for you to see how the same Rishabha is oscillated according to the Kala Pramana in which a composition is composed. Rama Katha Sudha. Pardon me for splitting the Sahityam, but the focus now is on the music. So then another composition in the Madhima Kala. Nadupai Valike Runarulu. Another composition. Nagumomu Galavani Namano Haruni, where I wanted to show you that in the first one, how the re is very elaborately handled. Rama Katha Re. The next composition, it's a shorter version of the re. So the Gamaka's color also changed. That is the point he wants to focus here. Na ropai bali keru ri ri mari sari. And in the composition, nagumomu ri 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 ma pa mari mari sa sa ri sa ni ba ni sa ri sa ri. So ri 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 ri, the shortest version of the re. So in each of this we see that if you look deep into it like this, many compositions where the Kala Pramana also determines not only the gait of the composition but also the nuances of music, the colors of music, everything gets changed when the Kala Pramana gets changed. Now going into the ragas that he created or the compositions that he created in all these ragams is a big separate by subject by itself. But today, I think, of course, every time I try to look at his compositions, it is a revelation. It is just, you are spellbound that what has been given to us as a gift by thyAgarAja is absolutely priceless. And thyAgarAja, for us, one side, though he was a spiritual guru, I would say that he was a spiritual guru who showed us the path of bhakti through his inimitable kritis and kirtanas. But he was also one of the greatest vagekara who codified the entire music system to become one of the most aesthetic and scientific systems in the world. That, I think, is one of his very great contribution on the musical front, which also needs to be, hailed, I would say. The vaibhavam, the celebration of thyAgarAja, is not only for his spiritual contribution, but also to the vast kind of treasure that he has given to the music world. If today we can be proud of the vast vistas that Carnatic music has actually achieved, we owe much to Sri thyAgarAja, who was indeed a visionary, I would say, in creating beautiful music system for us. He not only used music to communicate his bhakti, but used music itself as a language to communicate many things. Thus, I would say that he is a sadguru or a mahaguru who has shown how music can be a perfect synthesis of devotion, art, science, philosophy, and much more. Now, this particular presentation that I did today was just like, I always say, touching the tip of the iceberg. And here, of course, if you look at the bhakti part, the analysis can go on and on. If you look at the musical side, that is another subject totally which can go on and on. So, but today, being Guru pUrNimA, I think we are indeed, those who are here today are blessed that we are able to celebrate the glory of a great Guru, Sri thyAgarAja, who has shown the path of salvation, shown us the path of music and everything to us through his beautiful compositions. And this particular presentation was a small, very, very small tribute. As I said, I could probably just pick up a very small drop from that big ocean called Sri thyAgarAja and share it with you. And on Guru pUrNimA day again, let me seek the blessings of all the gurus who have guided us, who have shared their knowledge and graced us in abundance, giving their blessings to us. And I really wish you all a very great and happy Guru pUrNimA. Namaskar.
That was absolutely breathtaking. I am reminded of this Kruti, Nannu Vidichi Vidalapura. Okay, please don't stop it like that. In which he actually says in the Charanam, Abdilo Munigi Swasamu Batti, Animutyamu Gannattayara Sri Ramana. So you have actually, done this deep sea diving for us, for gem faring, and you have actually passed so many of these gems to us. Now, with your time permitting, some of them can ask questions. Please guide if your time is permits to do.
Definitely, I would love to answer the questions. Once again, I seek your pardon for presenting snatches of the song here and there. I know that the Sahityam should have been rendered in its full, but then I would have to do presentation for about, I think, 365 days to complete that then.
No. I think this needs a saptaham to, scratch a little bit more of the iceberg.
Very true.
So, definitely.
Any questions, if I'm able to answer, and if I do know the answer, I'd be too happy to answer.
Sure.
Dr. Radha Bhaskar ji, yes. Namaskaram. You mentioned it is a drop in the ocean, but it was more of the ocean itself for us. So we are still savoring that. And one question that I have is it was a wonderful rendition of Guru Lekha Yatuvanti. Are there other songs where Swami Varu has seen Rama as Guru? To your knowledge, or any angle of the Guru aspect coming up in the Kriti is something that I'm curious to know.
I could find only this particular Kriti. Of course, as I mentioned about Narada as his Guru, I could find out 3-4 Kritis were there, and I didn't mention the others here. But I think this is more about more than about Rama. It's about the concept of the Guru itself, that he has given us the whole ideology about that anything which is achieved, the worldly wealth or the worldly prosperity, whatever we achieve, is nothing when we don't get the grace of the Guru. I think that Guru Tattva is what is he has tried to portray through this song, and probably I'll look into it to see if there are more compositions. As I said, I am also just just trying to peep into the whole world of the thyAgarAja, and every time I peep, I know that I just took a bit. That's all.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Radha Bhaskar.
Any other questions, please?
Ma'am, I think in Dhanyasi, Namaste, ma'am. It was excellent, lecdem, ma'am. You covered everything within our time. It's so overwhelming. Excellent. I think in Dhanyasi, there is one Kriti on Guru.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
that's what Pallavi I'm not getting, but excellent song.
Yeah, I also saw one in Dhanyasi. You're right. I remember.
In Mr. Chapo. In Mr. Chapo Kriti.
Correct. That's what I said. For each concept, we can give so many examples, but we have to just can't do justification actually.
Is it Nichittamu?
Yes, sir. Nichittamu.
Nichittamu Nirmalam.
Yeah.
Nirmalam, yes. In Dhanyasi, in Mr. Chapatalam, right.
So, for example, even in Navagita Bhakti, for each Bhakti, there are so many compositions.
So, yes.
That itself will be a topic which could be dealt for hours, I think.
Correct.
Thank you for reminding me of that Dhanyasi Kriti.
No. And what about the Sangatis? Do you think thyAgarAja has created, or the Patantrams? The Patantrams, it came like that, or whatever?
Sangati is another very big ocean subject, but definitely we should give the credit of the concept of Sangati is definitely to thyAgarAja. Maybe afterwards we have added here and there, that's a different thing, because I always say that art is something which is dynamic, it cannot be static. So art, in order to be vibrant, in order to grow, it has to be, the changes are definitely welcome, but constructive changes are welcome, not something which will tamper with the mood and flow of the composition. So, and of course, here also I could say that it's a survival of the fittest, in the sense that when somebody puts a unconnected Sangati, it has not survived. So whatever has been absorbed as part of the Sahitya Bhava, those have only come. But definitely, in fact, I wanted to give the beautiful example of Eta Unara, where you see that how he has gradually progressed from the Adhara Shadja to the Tara Shadja in the multiple Sangatis. First Sangati Sa, second or halts on the Re, third on the Ga, then Pa, then Dha, and then Sa. And then finally he winds off the entire gamut of the Raga by, like a winding off, and comes back to the Adhara Shadja. So this actually it will take some time to demonstrate it, but here this is one classic example. Of course, every song is brims with beautiful sangatis, which brings out the Sahitya Bhava also very well. But this is one classic example where I could also mention about how the Raga Lakshana, I mean the knowledge of music, the profound knowledge of music, its Lakshana. And here those who are into music will would have observed in this particular composition that he did not halt on the Madhyama or the Nishada while doing the Sangatis. So that also gives us a Lakshana that at his point of time, Madhyama and Nishada were not the Nyasa Swaras in terms of, halting. So now with the Hindustani influence and other things, Ni and Ma have become the pet point of musicians. So, I mean, so many revelations. Actually, it is a lifelong sadhana even to look and delve into the composition. And I always say, seek and you get. That is what it is. So when you go deeper and deeper and deeper and try to seek something out of his composition, something comes as a flash of light somewhere. That's how it happens. Sangati is, of course, a full session I have done in one Sabha also, where all the Sangatis and how he has approached the concept of Sangati. That's another thing, that every composition has got a different approach in terms of Sangatis. So when a composition starts on the Adhara Shadja, you see that obviously there are different points for it to develop. When a composition like, say, Shambha Mahadeva, which starts itself on the Tarastai Shadja, and logical progression is that it should go higher only, it cannot go lower. So in that you see that there are only two Sangatis. After singing in the Tarastai, he can't go in the Mandrastai and sing the Shambho Mahadeva. That will not be, in terms of the musical connection, it will not be relevant. So every composition has got a different way of structuring the Sangatis, and also how the Sangatis in some rare ragas reiterate the key phrases of the ragam again and again. For example, if you take Maru Gelara O Raghava, musicians will know that it is almost Hindolam, but except for the Sanidama Pa Magasa, that Pa is very important. So throughout Maru Gelara Dama Pa Maga, that Pa is re-emphasized. So the Sangati also plays a very important role in multifarious ways. That is a subject which has to be examined separately, I think, to show how the Sangatis have been effectively used. One, to bring out the musical content. Second, to bring out the Sahitya Bhava in its right import. That is very important.
Thank you, ma'am.
Namaste, madam.
Thanks a lot.
Namaste. Namaste.
I would like to ask you a few questions about the Tala aspect of thyAgarAja Swami. Throughout the lecture demonstration, there was emphasis on the Sahitya Bhava and the Swara patterns, and also the Sangatis and the musical proficiency of thyAgarAja Swami. But in none of the lecture demonstrations, I have found emphasis on the Tala aspect of Swami Varu, like how he did Endaro Mahanubhavulu from the little finger. And
I have mentioned all that in my lectures. Very humbly, I would like to say I have done a lot about this on the Talam. As you asked, to put it very simply, he did know all this Sapta Talam and everything, but he made it very simple for the musicians. He made it very simple for, as I said, he wanted to bring in the concept that music is for everybody. So in that sense, all his Tala structures are very simple, where you see that first thing, of course, is that he used the main Talas. Maximum compositions are in Adi Tala. Then comes Rupaka Tala, then Mishra Chapu, and then a few in Khanda Chapu. But the point here is that unlike Dikshadar's composition, where you see that the Sahitya may fall in any place, it is not very symmetrically that it will fall on the Samam, the next will fall on the Drutam. But in the case of thyAgarAja, we see that symmetry is very, very important. For example, as I mentioned, Shri Rama, Shri Rama, Shri Manoharama, Shri Rama. So you see that there is a meter going in that. Even if you take a so where the accent is on the Samam, the second accent is on the Drutam. In Deshadi Talam, you would have seen that the accent again is on the Drutam here and then on the Samam, in the sense that you see, this is another big subject where there is a Vishranti after the Dhrutam in all the Deshadi Talam. If you examine, you see the concept of Vishranti. One simple thing I would like to share here is that in all his Mishra Chapu Talas also, you see that the flow of the music and the flow of the Sahitya is very simple to follow. In the sense like, you see that in some of the other composers, suddenly in a Shama Sastra and all, you see that one of the Sahityam may start in the second beat, like this and all is said. But here you see, so where the flow of the music is very much in adherence with the Tala flow. So it doesn't make it complicated at all. Guru Leka is on a Guru Leka is the flow of the music and the flow of the Sahitya complement each other beautifully. So that's why I suppose even children for that matter, many of you may be teachers here, we teach thyAgarAja kritis first to the children because of the simplicity of the Sahitya, simplicity of the music.
Varalila Gana Lola, the composition starts in Atitam.
Atitam. I mean, that is another subject where Edipu, that I didn't mention because of the paucity of time. Edipu again is another, that is the commencing points. I had mentioned in another lecture of mine also that he is the only composer who explored all the possibilities of Edipu in composition. The only composer in the whole of arena of classical music, we could say, where the Sama, as he said, Atita Edipu, Sama Edipu, Edipu after one akshara, Edipu after 2 akshara, Edipu after 3 akshara, then Yantro Mahanuvalu starting on the little finger, then the Deshadi Talam starting after 6. Like this, you see that every possible Edipu has been explored by him. He is genius par excellence. That all.
Thank you, madam.
The subject of Tala is, of course, a domain by itself. Only if we analyze the composition, probably.
Maybe because the Sahityam is simple and it flows with the Tala.
Exactly.
Many of the lectures, they don't mention about the Tala aspect of thyAgarAja Swami because it goes with the Sahityam itself.
It goes with the Sahityam, but then there is a lot of Vishayam in Talam also that he has incorporated. That requires a separate session, I suppose.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. If you take Vinata Sutava,
like, in the Rupaka Talam, how he has incorporated if he starts after Aradam, the entire stretch of the Charanam, you would see that same principle is followed. Like that, many things, if you go into the inner aspects, you will see all that. How the symmetry of maintaining the Aradam throughout the composition, how is the symmetry of maintaining the internal structure within the Talam. That is very important. You can have the Talam, but within it, if Pallavi is flowing in one Talamettu and another one Pallavi in another way, it is not a good composition. So that way, we can definitely say that structural beauty can be seen very much in his composition. Anything else, please?
there is one beautiful composition in Jayanta Sena. If you take the Vinata Sutava, so your whole Pallavi goes tatatom, and Madri. It's an excellent composition, ma'am. Kala Pramanam in that. Yeah, thank you.
Namaskara, madam.
Namaste.
Really, the Kriti Alankara Lakshanas, like Swaraksharas and Swarasahityam, all are invented by thyAgarAja Swami or other Vagekaras of that period, madam.
See, it's Swara Alankara is something. I mean, it's not about invention, it's about incorporation into the music. That's what I would say, because that is more to do with the prose and it has been there throughout. This concept has been there throughout. In Dikshadar's compositions also, we see them in a plenty. In thyAgarAja's composition also, we see them in plenty. That's again a separate subject where analyzing the lyrics to see the prasa aspects is another thing. But thyAgarAja has done it very effortlessly, I would say, in his compositions, where you see in many compositions, especially the Divya Nama Mutso Sampradaya, there all you can see that beauty of that prasam, the prathama, that is the first syllable prasam, the antya prasam, all this is there. Probably that will take another session. But what I want to emphasize here is that all the great Bhagiyakaras for that matter, they have not only, there you have brought a beautiful point about not only incorporating the Sahityam, the music, but also understanding the nuances of the Rasa and other lyrical and rhetorical beauties which are there. And they have incorporated it into their composition. This Divya Nama, all that you take, you will see very beautiful in that concept you're mentioning. Some, of course, the Raga Mudra also you're able to see in that beauty. You can see in some of his composition, not like Dikshadhar in every composition, but and again, it's like, you know, naturally it comes. It's not like I want to introduce a Raga Mudra. For example, Mohana Rama. So where Mohanam is the Raga, Mohana Rama, oh beautiful Rama. So where it comes along with the Sahityam. It is not a deliberate incorporation. And that's where I suppose the genius of the great star like thyAgarAja is.
Thank you very much.
I don't know. Any other questions?
There are, but I'm not too sure, Ramesh. Madam, do you have time? Are we taking a lot of your time?
It's okay.
Okay, I'll try to keep it as I just waited because I'm not musically talented, madam, like others. So I just wanted to just talk about a little bit and give you my acknowledgements. First of all, in rAma Bhakti sAmrAjyam, this particular platform, we all feel that we are devotees of thyAgarAja Swami. That's what we feel, madam. Not too sure whether Sadguru has accepted us or not. But this was the doubt in my mind for a long time. On this Guru pUrNimA, I felt that he has accepted us, and there's a reason why he sent you to us. So when the entire program was so good, so it was like, we were, you took us to thyAgarAja. That was what we felt. And the Samaksham of Sadguru on Guru pUrNimA, nothing more than that. Just a few things. What I learned today, I wanted to very quickly tell you, madam. I really like the statement you said, let's not undermine the genius of thyAgarAja and just say that he is a spiritual guru. Because of the musical contribution, that was beautiful. In Shankarabharanam, 30 kritis that he had given. You spoke about how it was so beautiful, Deshaditalam, the way it was used, and then you talk about Kala Pramanam, all that really. And the demonstration of the Kiravani, Kiranavali, and Kalyana Vasanta was excellent. We just blown away, taken away by that. One question I had, one is that in the Western style, we heard that there was a lot of Western style influence on Sadguru also in some of the compositions. And we know, of course, in Shankarabharanam, maybe, or Balahamsa kind of kritis. Anything you want to say on that, and then I demonstrate was briefly about how that happened, and then what actually influenced him so much?
Actually, I have not, I've done a lot of work on Dikshadhar and the Western influence, actually.
Okay.
Because of the fact that we know that there are about 30 notusuras that he has composed, and how he was influenced by even the French anthem and other things, where we are able to see. In thyAgarAja's case, again, all of us know of the composition Varalila Gana Lola. And again, I think that these greats, I mean, these are all my own thoughts. When somebody has done so much, they don't want to intrude too much into that area again. So probably he just showed that he knows the way, but he doesn't want to make too much of a, emphatic about that area where Dikshadhar is already done. So he shows that beautiful, he did that. And as you said, there are definitely influences because of the fact that they would have been influenced because the Britishers were ruling at that time, and we had the band music, and they were all there to listen to all this. We know that aspect actually. But as much as Dikshadhar, I have not been able to find that much of influence here, in the sense that Dikshadhar actually, even the Hindustani mode for that matter, he had a lot of influence on his compositions. Whereas thyAgarAja stuck to, I would say, more in terms of, even when he used the Hindustani kind of ragas like Yamuna Kalyani, or you see that other ragams, for example, Shubha Pantarali, the way Dikshadhar has used and thyAgarAja, that itself is a big study, where we say that Kampita Gamakam and Jaru Gamakam. So thyAgarAja has stuck to the typical South Indian classical flavor, by using only the Kampita Gamakam. Whereas Dikshadhar, he introduces the same ragam, the same scale, everything is same. Dikshadhar uses the Jaru Gamakam and gives a different flavor through the Hindustani mode. So that way we see that thyAgarAja in his compositions, everything, even if it's a Hindustani touch or the Western, there is always that roots are the South Indian, the kind of, the Carnatic classical, that I could sense that in back. In fact, I don't have time to demonstrate, but if you look at the song Ennalu Oroge of his and Sri Satyanarayanam of Dikshadhar, you can see the way the Gamakas, he uses the Kampita Gamakam, which is the predominant Gamakam of our South Indian music. Yenadu rege yunduba jute. That you can see a lot in his composition. Sri Satya Narayano Sanidapa Madamagari. The same ragam, the same scale, two people handling it in their own way.
The effect is so different. Yes.
Effect.
Just one more thing. The Pancharatnam, the way today we are singing with all the 5 kritis, at least in the Aradhana, the way the 5 kritis are sung together. Most importantly, that becoming a Brundaganam kind of Samuhika Ganam. Any idea whether it was done as a Samuhika Ganam during the times of thyAgarAja or immediately afterwards?
No, it was not. In fact, all the 5 are never Pancharatnams. As a unit, like you see the Core Pancharatnam or the Lalgudi Pancharatnam, where the common binding is the deity. Like that, these Pancharatnams were composed in fact, the Arabi was composed first. That's what I understand, not Jagadanakaraka. And even in Varali, I mean, this is all, I mean, when you look at the Granthas and the treatises, you understand even Varali, there were some have been added and all that all has happened in the process of change, you know, all this has happened. But anyway, it's happened for good in the sense that finally we've got a good consolidated version called the Pancharatnas, and all the Charanas, as I said, it's again, though they may have added, I mean, later people have added, Varali and all didn't have this many. So even in fact, you could say that here, because of the fact that they were coherently blending with it, finally we got what is called as a Pancharatnam, but it was not intended by thyAgarAja, as he did not compose it as a group like he did the other Pancharatnams, you know. So it was like at different points of time they were composed. Then finally, of course, because I think it's the structural similarity that brought them together. Because all the 5 shares similarity in terms of their structure, as I mentioned earlier, also in terms of a Pallavi, Anupallavi, and the Swara Sahityam format coming in, you know, multiple Charnams. There are no more compositions even of his to be added to this Pancharatnam. And no other person has composed something of this format. So this is a unique kind of a format that he has devised. As I mentioned also, it blends together Varnam, the Kirti, Kirtana, Swarajati, Tanam, everything has been seamlessly blended to create a new form. So because all these compositions shared the commonality, again, you would, as you all are a very elite group, you know that the themes are all totally different. They don't share any commonness in terms of the theme. Because Jagadanandaka speaks something else, Tudukukala something else. Each one speaks of a different theme in terms of the Sahitya. But what binds them together is the compositional structure that all the 5 share in their terms of the commonness. That is what makes them together. And of course, there is a big story about how it came into the Triviyar. When they wanted to make the congregational singing, they found that this was the most ideal. Because, I mean, it may seem very amusing, but the fact that the way he has composed this Swara Sahityam, you cannot tamper with it. But whereas in the case of a group kriti like a Kamala Varnam, it has got so much of gap in between that you can improvise. I mean, artists, you know, they also, if you get little gap, they will try to put some Sangati into it. That's how it works. And even Shyama Sastri, Swarajati, they are very intricate because of the Kala Pramana. Here, the Madhyama Kala actually, and the tight packaging of the Sahitya such that it helps in congregational singing, where you cannot have different ways of doing it. You just can't do it differently because the way he has packed the Swara and Sahitya, maximum you will see that except for the first charna, all others maximum 2 karve. There is 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, and all the Sahityam also falling straight in line. So that it's a very ideal kind of a compositional form for congregational singing. That's why, of course, now 250 years after thyAgarAja, more than years he has passed away, also we are singing it in the same way as we have learned it, because of the compositional structure which helps it actually.
And I wonder in how many countries, I think it's happening in at least 15-20 countries right now, maybe.
Everywhere.
Every country. Okay.
Some unit from here goes and settles somewhere, then they'll start the Pancharatnam.
One last question, madam. Sorry, I'm troubling.
No.
This, but because we have discussed about Sadguru as a Vagyakara and all those, and the part of being Vagyakara is also being a Kavi, poet. And the bhavukata of a Kavi becomes very important because the way they visualize anything and write. So, for example, you had sung that so beautifully, Nannu Vidachi Kadalakura. Nannu Vidachi Kadalakura is, we know it's in Radha Bhakti Vijayam. And in Radha Bhakti Vijayam, the story says that, of course, when he had that darshan of Narayana, Sriman Narayana for a little while, and then it disappeared. The vision disappeared. That's when he came forth with this Kriti. Very interestingly, the form is Narayana, but Sadguru ends up talking about Rama. Ramaya Rama, Kodanda Rama, Pattabhi Rama. It is actually meant to be a drama, dance drama. For example, he's writing Nauka Charitam. In Nauka Charitam, he's addressing completely Vishnu as Krishna only. But when it comes to here Narayana, he goes into the freedom of calling him only Ramaya. Completely from his heart, he says Ramaya, Ramaya. Where we know that the Bhavadvegam, probably he sees himself in Pralada's place so much that, and then that was never corrected or nothing was done about it. So any thoughts, any comments on this? Because we also see that it's not that he reduced all the other forms of the deities to Rama. We also don't see that because he has authored on Ranganatha, he has authored on Kartikeya. Everything is there, yes. But in this particular Kriti, or maybe one or two more in this Prahlad Bhakti Vijayam, we see this kind of trend. Any thoughts on that?
I've not done much work on this, so I think you've given me some good homework. I'll do it and get back to you, sir.
Thanks so much. We really enjoyed, and then apart from all the things that has to be learned, I think one thing I learned from you is your humility and the modesty. Thanks so much.
Anything, Vibha?
No, I think there's a lot been shared, and yeah, thank you so much for the wonderful session. Thank you.
Okay. Then I think we have to end this session with a very heavy heart, but but with the promise that, Madam, you should please come back to our forum again and uncover a lot more of the pearls of Swami Varu for us. And I think Brother Kota Shivkumar very nicely put it that today there is an acknowledgement of admission of the thyAgarAja Swami Varu into Rama Darbar for us. Because you have given such a all-round demonstration of all the facets, like they say to see whether the rice is cooked. You don't need to see every grain, right? So like that, you have actually offered beautiful glimpses of all the facets, and we are much grateful for this session. We invoke the blessings of Swami Varu on you and your family and all the great work that you have been doing in this field. And may you continue to do that, forever and ever, and inspire more. This is our humble prayer at the feet of Sri Rama for your family and yours. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Namaste. So I think there we come to the end of this beautiful Guru Purnima session. What a session it has been to contemplate on Sadguru and all his works in various different facets. And I'm sure, like Madam herself said, we have just looked at the tip of the iceberg and maybe a micro tip of the iceberg. So therefore, we promise you that we will be requesting Madam to come back again and again and probably explore different aspects of thyAgarAja Swami's hridayam for us. On this note, I actually want to thank Guruji who rendered Vedam and extended his Ashirvachanams this beautiful Purnima day for us. And I want to thank all of you who have been assembled here in this Zoom session. Despite your busy schedule on this working day, you have chosen to give us your time and come here. Thank you very much. So I want to thank every single viewer who is actually viewing it all over the world. So thank you very much. And with this, I again invoke the blessings of Sadguru thyAgarAja Swami and Lord Sri Rama on all of us. So swasti prajabhyah paripalayantam nyayena margena mahim mahishaha vo brahmanebhyah mastu nityam masta loka sukhino masta loka sukhino. We will meet soon. This Saturday, we have the session, our Guru Purnima tribute to thyAgarAja Swami. There will be 9 kritis that will be offered on that day. So please do tune in, watch out for more information, and do come back to Rama Bhakti sAmrAjyam YouTube
channel. Thank you.